Hello and welcome. We are the Vantage Point Bonus Rating System team, and I am Drew, and I'm joined by Sam, Riley, and Derek. Our sponsor was Adam Scholes from Vantage Point, and our advisor was Mr. Jason Werpy. Alright, so here's our poster, which is just a big, brief overview of our project. Starting with the left-hand side, we have our project objective. Right below that, we have specifications and constraints. Then in the middle at the top, we have the block diagram, and below that we have our design solution. And then finally to the right, we have our results, and then below that we have our conclusions. And then on the next couple of slides, we'll just go into more detail on each one of these sections. All right, so first up we have the project objective, which just goes into our main objectives for the project, with the first objective being to design and implement a system for Vantage Point managers to give out quarterly bonuses to employees. Currently, managers have been doing this manually, but our project, we are moving it to a website to make it easier for you to use, and so that employees have everything all on one website. And that is also incorporated with the current timekeeping system that they have in place already. And then the second objective is managers should be able to input a quarterly rating and notes for each employee that they manage. So the rating is on a scale from 0 to 2, and the notes is just kind of a reasoning for why they received the rating. And managers will now be able to input all employees all on one page, and then hit a button to click, and it saves all of them at once. So then the third objective was controllers should be able to input the total bonus allocation for all employees, which will then calculate the bonus for all employees. So the controller has the power to review the ratings from all the managers, and then to input the total amount for the calculation, and click a button, and then it automatically calculates the bonus for each employee individually.
Hello, my name is Riley Hoffman, and I'm going to be going through the specifications and constraints slide, as well as the block diagram slide. So we'll start with the specifications. The first one was to integrate with the current timesheet system at Vantage Point. So we do this in order to get the total hours worked for each employee, and we use that in our calculation to find out the total bonus given for that quarter. And Sam will go into a little bit more detail about that later when he's talking about the calculations. Next, managers submit quarterly reviews of employees that they oversee. So the managers will go in and will be able to give a score to each of the employees that they oversee between 0 and 2 with quarter point increments, so 0.25, 0.5, 0.75, and so on. They also will be able to give a reasoning for each review. We have this just labeled as the notes section, and then a controller will be able to verify these reviews before submitting the total allocation amount, which then calculates the bonus for each employee. The constraints that we had were we must use MVC4 as the framework to code. We do this so that the website we build is compliant with the current Vantage Point system that they have, and that they can integrate that smoothly. We also had to use SQL Server for the database. Same thing with that. They were using SQL Server, so we needed to use SQL Server. And the way that they were going to get the changes that we made were we are going to send them our SQL queries for them to run on their database, which will then create tables and populate tables the way we designed them. So now I'll talk about the block diagram a little bit. This just will take you through the front end of what the user experience is going to this bonus rating system. So we'll start with the login. This is actually already integrated at Vantage Point. The reason that we put this in is because we use the manager ID of whoever's logged in for our query, so that it will display only the employees of the manager that's logged in and not every other employee. So that brings me to the third box, which is the managers enter a rating between 0 and 2 and a note for each employee. They then click continue, and that'll bring them to a review page where they can see all the changes that they've made and all the ratings that they've submitted and the notes that they've submitted. After that, they click submit, and the controller then views and accepts all the ratings of all the employees that have been changed, and then they can enter a total allocation amount and click the calculate button, which then populates the table and displays the total bonus for each employee, which the controller then reviews all of that, and then they click submit. And that brings me to the end of the block diagram, and now I will give it to Derek to talk a little bit about the demo.
Hello, I'm Derek Hackman, and I'm going to be taking you through the demo of our ratings page for how we store the ratings that managers input for each employee that they are in charge of. First off, this system is going to be incorporated into the current Vantage Point system, so we did not have to handle any of the login functionality. Our website will just simply take in a manager ID from the current website when it's integrated, and we'll display the employees under that manager that are able to be rated. So as this demo will quickly show, you can go through and eventually you can click the input tab. This will take you to a page with all the employees that manager is in charge of, and you can input ratings on quarter point increments from 0 to 2, along with notes of how they did. So as you can see, you can go down the list and input as many as you would like at a time. So you could do all of them, or you could just do a few. It really doesn't matter. We also have all the employee names currently blocked out just to keep everything confidential. This will next take you to a page where you can confirm or go back if you messed up something. So you can go back, say, oh, I forgot to input this rating for an employee, and input a new one. Go good, and then you go continue, and then now everything is saved again. So just show that again. You can quickly go back, and then, oh, it looks good. Click continue, and then submit, and that is how you will store all the information for this page.
All right, let's go over how to calculate the bonus for each employee with an example employee. So starting off, we have some employee data to fill in already. We have the salary of the employee, $62,754, the hours worked, 520, and the rating given to this employee by the manager, 1.25. Next up, we need to calculate the square value for this employee. Calculate this by taking the salary, $62,754, multiply it by the hours worked, 520, divide all of that by the average hours, which is always 520, as you can see here, and then we square that value, and we get this big number right here, 3,938,014,313. Now that we've calculated the square, we can move on to calculate the percentage for this employee. To calculate the percentage, you take the square value, which we just calculated here, and you divide that by the total square, which is the sum of all employees in the database, sum of all employees squares. So that's this big value right here. So we take our employees square, this number, divide it by the total square, this number, and we get 0.7, the percentage for this individual employee. Now that we have the percentage, we can calculate this employee's gross bonus. So we take that percentage and multiply it by the total bonus given, which is 67,000 in this case. This is the value the controller enters before they decide and approve to calculate all of the net bonuses for each employee. So for this employee, we take their percentage, 0.7, multiply it by the total bonus given, which is 67,000, and we get $501.13. Now that we have the gross bonus, we can finally calculate the net bonus for this employee. So to do that, we take the gross bonus, the value we just calculated, 501.13, and we multiply it by the rating, which is 1.25. This is the value that the manager gave the employee as a rating. So we take 501.13 times 1.25, and you get a net bonus of $626.42. Those are all the calculations you need to determine each individual employee's net bonus.
Now that Sam has gone through the current way of calculating the bonuses for every employee, I'll just show you a quick demo of our calculation page. Now this will be based on a controller, which we currently don't have any information for the controller, so we just have the calculate tab open to be clicked on by the in the website. So when you click on this, you can enter a bonus total and click calculate bonuses. This provides all the information that Sam just recently showed on how the calculations are performed, and on the far right side it will give you the net bonus, and then if you click submit, that will submit that and the bonuses will be input into the system. If you realize you made a mistake and want to change total bonus, you can do that and then click calculate and it will redo all that and then it will be submitted. Thank you. In conclusion, this solution that we created gives Vantage Point a more flexible and automated system to calculate bonuses for their employees. So instead of spending time doing this by pen and paper over and over and wasting a bunch of time, they can simply do it online through their current system and input it, and it will be a lot quicker and more efficient. Vantage Point will also have an easier time calculating these bonuses, which will allow for managers and the controllers to have a lot more time for other important tasks, because you don't have to go through by hand and put them into an Excel document and then calculate everything out by hand. It can be done by the computer simply through our system that we have created.